All right. So, like I was just saying, Ezgi, it's so fun to have you here to learn about music therapy. I have so many questions, but I know you've been really busy. You've had a crazy busy day, and so I won't keep you for hours and hours to chat with you, but I have so many things to ask you, and just welcome. Thank you for coming to talk to me about music therapy.
Thank you so much. Thank you for reminding me. This is fun.
It'll be fun. So, okay, let me grab my glasses. And I guess the first question that might be interesting is just for you to tell us about your background and, what inspired you to find music therapy and what is music therapy? Tell us about what you've been up to.
A lot of questions.
A lot of
I
questions.
might need some time. Yeah, so to start with, I'm from Turkey. I came here in 2008 to US to pursue the master's program at Temple, where we went to school together. And I did like performance and string pedagogy program back then. And when I finished the program, I started like teaching and playing in the Philadelphia area. And I've been doing that since then. It's been a while, and I love what I do, both like teaching and playing.
And you're a
But
cellist. You're a
yes, I'm a
fabulous
cellist.
cellist.
Sorry, I forgot to say that. And like when the pandemic hit, everything stopped, and I was teaching online and a little bit performing online too. But I had a lot of time to think about, oh, like what happens this happens again. Like what if like at some point in my life like everything stops and I cannot play anymore.
Hmm.
And I saw that that was like one aspect of it, but the other aspect is also like I like to improve myself. I'm always like looking for like how I can improve myself, how I can like take a step forward. So I was thinking like it would be really cool to go back to school and do something else. And in that research, like what can I do? I was questioning myself, and I was always interested in psychology, therapy work, and I found out about this program at Drexel. It's a dual program, music therapy and counseling. So both of the like therapy aspects of it is in the program, and I thought like, oh, this is really cool, and I was so excited. I applied and got accepted, and I found myself in the program. So
Yay.
right now I'm like halfway through the program. I have one more year. It's another master's program.
Hmm.
So next year I'll be finishing, and then I'll be looking for like therapy jobs.
And so, like, so I know you had mentioned that you had been working in a hospital, which I think is so magical that you can take music. When we were chatting over tea the other day, I was telling you about the harp and like trying to get you to buy a harp so that you can take a harp to the hospital with you. But I just I think it's so awesome that you during this pandemic you thought that you would go help people to heal with music. It's so fabulous. I just can't. I'm like amazed and just in awe of you just having the courage to do that. You know.
It is so amazing and so interesting because like I've been in music since I was very little. I grew up in a musical family. Like I grew up like around music, like singing, playing, like musical games, and I didn't know like different aspects of like healing with music, like how to use music as a tool to heal.
Hmm.
So one of the interesting thing is like when we talk, like there's only one certain part of the brain gets stimulated, but when we hear music with a song, for example, with lyrics, multiple parts of our brain get stimulated, like it's like lighting up, and then like all of a sudden like it gets more like active and we're more receptive.
Hmm. I've heard of people with dementia. they don't remember many things, but suddenly there's a tune, or I've heard of violinists who have that, and they can remember, the bowings and the dynamics and all these like really detailed nuances of the piece, but you know, then they just struggle with just remembering regular things, but yet can remember all of the detail of a music piece that they studied.
Yeah,
It
it
is
is very
amazing.
interesting, yes. So in music therapy, we work on like different goals. It can be a cognitive goal or a functional goal.
Hmm.
Like with a cognitive goal, like for example, we work on like memory. So we can talk to the patient about like what they remember like 50 years ago if it's an like Alzheimer patient, for
Hmm.
example, or dementia. Um, so we can listen to music together, or we can play or sing, and then like we can ask them like what kind of music they listened to when they went to high school, and like we can open up a whole new conversation and then bring all of the memory back.
Wow.
Or another goal could be like functional. So where I did my internship was a rehabilitation hospital
Hmm.
this past semester, and the hospital was for most of the patients were brain injuries, traumatic brain injuries, and spinal cord injuries. And with those patients, like I had a chance to observe. So when people have stroke, for example, they lose some part of their brain and ability,
Hmm.
and like it can be a functional thing as well. Sometimes they get paralyzed and like some part of their body, like either like right or left, or like upper body or down. And so we were working with patients, like playing an instrument, a drum, for example. If someone has like limited ability to use their right arm, for example,
Hmm.
we encourage them to play the drum together with the music. So we listen, sing, and like play together, and then they work on that functional goal by playing the
Wow.
drum.
That's just That's so lovely, and it's just nice and simple. You don't have to think about it too. Like, because the thing that always confused me, or I was just, I didn't know how it would work, was I just think of music and I think of, the cello or the violin or the violin. It's like, okay, well, you need to have like all this background to be able to play this instrument. But I love that you can just use something simple like a drum to just tap along with the beat to become, you know, immerse in the music and take your mind off of something and focus on something else.
Hmm.
I how has the study of music therapy, like, has it totally changed your life as a musician? Like, how has it impacted you?
Uh, I mean, it's a very different aspect than being a performer, because like as you mentioned, we grew up with like, oh, let's practice and let's try to like make it perfect. And like there's this historical aspect, like theory, like we analyze all of those things and like technical things,
Mm-hmm.
playing an instrument. But with music therapy, it's like the main idea is like the music is inside you. Like, it's just like it's coming from inside. Like we have rhythm, we have heartbeats
Mm-hmm.
in our body. And, like using that as a tool, like to connect with life, like daily life, or like ourselves as well. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a different aspect. Like, than being a performer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it definitely changes my perspective. So like I'm more aware of little things when I work with people.
Mm-hmm.
I actually value like music and that experience more, because as a performer we are used to like analyzing everything, like according to the book or like the history that we practiced, we studied. But I mean, obviously, in the like performances, like we like to get into the mood and like we try to reflect that mood as well, but everything is related with that piece of music because like the composers wanted like in a certain way, we have to like play the piece in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
But in music therapy, like there's a lot of freedom. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes we forget about the lyrics of the songs and it's okay because
Right.
it's not a performance. So the most important thing is just like being there and experiencing that, internalizing it and like bringing like connecting with ourselves.
Right. I was just thinking that, I mean, does music therapy help performers kind of get in? Because I don't know if you ever experienced this. This is something that I really struggled with for a long time, and still struggle with. But it's like because, like you said, we have to learn everything to like this like hyper perfected place that we're kind of stuck in our thinking about the piece rather than the feeling the piece and like creating something that's genuine and that's from the heart and that's it's like you have to switch from thinking into feeling. Does that like can music therapy actually help us musicians that have been toiling away like people that are working on orchestral excerpts like what a soul-sucking experience that is, right?
True.
Can music therapy help us just kind of like get back in touch with music again?
Yes, I believe so. Yes, definitely. I mean, like therapy in general would help with that, and
Mhm.
music therapy, yeah, I believe it helps.
So what are some like music therapy techniques that you could kind of enlighten us on that could
Mhm.
help us with maybe whatever, whether it's like the soul suckingness of orchestral excerpts or preparing for a recital or for school, like a master's recital where everything has to be like, you know,
Mhm.
how can we use music therapy to kind of help performers and actually I'm sorry this is all over the place but do you need to be sick to have a music therapist like do you need to have a problem that you're trying to heal or can you just be a musician that just needs some therapy music therapy.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone can benefit from music therapy for sure. So there's not a rule, a certain rule that like you have to have some limitations to get benefits. Because if we think about like the music education, like
Mhm.
so why is it so important to start like at an early age?
Mhm.
Because it's really important. It encourages the developmental process for the kids because it really helps with the brain and or like the skills like listening skills and like multitasking skills if you're playing an instrument like using both hands like piano like violin like
Mhm.
cello like we're using our body and then like we are bringing our like emotions and like we are feeling it like we're learning by feeling,
Mhm.
also like studying like reading music like we're also like using our like cognitive abilities. So it's really important like from educational perspective, but it's also related with that developmental stages. So
I see. So it is really important for children to be exposed and learn music from a young age,
yes, right. Hmm.
just for, coordination and expression and all sorts of things, like you said. But,
But
well,
for
how?
adults too, because like as I mentioned, like there are different goals. Like it doesn't have to be a certain like limitation, so everyone can benefit
Mhm.
uh, from music therapy. So there are like four main methods that we use. Like they also have like different like like sub like categories. But the four main ones is like receptive music therapy, where we just like listen and like experience the music.
Mhm.
And like there's like songwriting, that we create music together, like we write something, or like song, like the lyric substitution, for example, like a famous song, but like when you change the lyrics with the therapist, that you adapt the lyrics to yourself, and then it really helps for your self-expression.
Mhm.
And another method is like song recreation, so we can play and perform like the songs together.
Mhm.
And what am I missing?
It'll come to you.
Yeah,
It'll
okay,
come to
so
you. Yeah. Well, I mean, do you think that these kinds of like the study of music and having a music therapist can help people just like so many of us can sometimes feel like we're like lost. We don't know what it is that we like to do anymore because we're just so focused on our work. We're focused on our family. We have all these things that we have to do perhaps, and we just like kind of feel a sense of I don't know who I am or what I like or what I want to do. I just don't know. But here's my phone and I can just search through Instagram and whatever. And do you feel like music therapy, this amazing practice, could really help people to just find themselves again, because it really does call upon your inner self to create and just have fun and like play. Like there seems like there's this like wonderful element of playfulness behind it, where you just like don't have to be too serious. You can just have fun.
definitely, definitely, yeah, it really promotes like that fun. But with a bigger picture, it's actually like the way I think about it is just like it's therapy, right? It can be like psychotherapy too, like working with people.
Mm-hmm.
So we can just like talk to like to each other, and then like discuss about like your own concerns, like like as you mentioned, like maybe it's related with like taking the auditions, and you have some anxiety around it because maybe you had some certain experiences in the past that affect your whole life, because like we learn in a really interesting way.
Mm-hmm.
Like our bodies learn information, so that we never like like learn the same thing again. So like it's like muscle memory, like we observe one thing and then like we hold on to it. So that
Mm-hmm.
can be a positive thing or a negative thing. And then like your experience around auditions, I'm just saying but like I'm not talking it's just like
Oh, I mean, it applies to me. Yeah, but yeah, I know you're talking generally.
so like like your experience around it is sometimes like too like solid, like you cannot break it, so that you go to a therapist to find out about that like trauma kind of experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then so there can be like different solutions to work on that issue. For example, it can be like trauma informed like psychotherapy, or like like that many different ways, but one of them could be music therapy. So with music therapy, like you don't directly discuss about the issue, but maybe you use the music as a tool to go back to that memory and then find out what's lying underneath,
Mm-hmm.
and then like work towards like improving.
Breakthrough. Yeah, improving. I really feel like all of us musicians need music therapists. I think we need music therapists. It's just all of the things that you've been talking about this evening have really reminded me of just this kind of journey that I've been through over the last 7 years or so, because I like was so burned out when I graduated, and I totally lost track of what music was. I thought it was just like people that needed to be as virtuosic as possible, and they were just there on stage just showing off, and that I was supposed to listen to them show off and how great they were and everything. It had nothing at all to do with music, and the I was like so in a weird place, like this just crazy place that was so detached from what music is that
Mhm.
I didn't know what music was, and I literally just wanted to play open strings for a year. Like I just didn't play music. I had to go and re-find my love of music again through teaching, through just having some joyful experiences on my instrument without the pressure and the toil of having to, play this piece XYZ. Um, I just, it's so interesting to hear that there's actually a field that actually could help people deal with this, because I know that so many of us, whether we're musicians or actors or anybody that's trying to do something that's very like all consuming, like it really takes all of you, to do. And you can just get so burned out, and you can maybe lose track of what it is that you're actually trying to do, which is make music. If you're a musician, right, you're not just trying to like get the technical stuff down. Anyway, I'm so intrigued by what it is that you do, Ezgi. I'm like, I feel like I'm just getting a little tiny glimpse into your magical world. And I mean, is there anything that I've missed asking you about before we wrap up this conversation?
No, I think that's it. I just want to add one more thing, like for the things that you mentioned.
Mhm.
So I think it's coming from this like classical music education, because like it has to be perfect, it has to be a certain way, and then it takes away from like our personality away.
Yeah.
And yeah, and like most of us like experience those things. Yeah, I'm constantly trying to like explore new things with music for that reason. And like recently, like there is this big like discussion between the classical musicians and then like the gig musicians. And like some of the classical musicians like look down on like, oh, I don't play like weddings. I actually like really enjoy playing like different genres, because I'm like exploring new things. Because then like there's no pressure in other genres. Like that's how I feel. Like I can explore more. I can like recently I'm getting into like improvisation, like chopping technique with the
That's
bow.
awesome.
And like I think like it's important to be open to different possibilities. But like since like we grew up in that like tradition, like everyone has to practice like concertos and sonatas and like some certain pieces of music, and like it has to be in a certain way, it has to be played by memory, like all those like rules.
Mm-hmm.
And and then like sometimes like the musicians become like very robotic.
Yeah.
And
Exploring, that was actually a big key in me just kind of like remembering what music was. Have exploring medieval music, learning the
mm,
harp, just having time to explore again is so important. It's so important. Oh my gosh.
honestly.
Well, you know what? I'm curious. How would somebody like find a music therapist, and how can one connect with the music therapist?
Mhm. So like there are music therapists working in like some organizations, like there are different settings, like medical settings, like educational settings, and uh, like psychiatric settings, but also there are people who have their own private practices. And like people who have their private practices, just like any other business, like they usually advertise it on like Google. So like we can, I mean, most of them like nowadays, like everyone is on social media, Google. And if you're looking for a specific area, you can just type in like music therapist in Philadelphia area, or like some specific neighborhood.
That's neat. Oh, well then it seems like there must be music therapists all over the place that we just don't realize that they're out in the world. They're just
Right.
there's these magical people. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Ezgi. Well, how can people follow you and connect with you? Because I'm sure that there's other musicians out there that are fascinated by what you're doing and might like to see what you're up to, follow your journey if you are sharing it.
Sure. So my website is ezgithecellist.com
What is it? One more time.
and ezgithecellist.com.
Mm-hmm.
And my email is ezgithecellist@gmail.com. And I'm on Instagram with the same name and on YouTube with the same name, ezgithecellist.
And I'll link that all below so everybody can just easily find. Oh my gosh, is that your cat?
Yes, this
Oh
is
my
Jasper.
god. Oh. Well, it's probably time for us to get some beauty sleep. I'm just so grateful to have talked to you this evening, and
Yeah, thank you
I'm
so
excited
much.
to have you come work with the studio on Friday. Oh my gosh, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it will be fun. I'm excited.
That'll be awesome. Well, Ezgi, big hug and thank you again so
Thank
much for
you.
this evening. And I'll see you soon, okay?
See you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye
Thank you so
bye.
much.